and shall be kept for 30 days in public record. Please stand for this question. Brittany, would you read it?
I need to begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. I am here. Robert Vincelet is here. Sonny Hepburn is here. Jim Bender is here. Joy Moore is here. And we have a board member from motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Vincelet. Second by Moore. All in favor?
Aye.
RTA report.
All right, well, this is my first one. I was going to give a speech comparing significant coaches, what happens when they retire, that next coach that comes in. And I hope I'm Tommy Lasorda and not Bill Russell. Tommy Lasorda replaced Walter Alston, manager who'd been there for years, many championships. And then unfortunately, Bill Russell just couldn't handle it, only did 2 years there. And so please let me be Tommy. So, well, I am John Warfield, the new RTA president. I took over, of course, for Jim Plowman, who retired last Friday. With Jim, please just let me thank him one more time for his many years as a strong president and as an excellent teacher. As president, he was devoted to helping all teachers in keeping and maintaining a strong teachers association and contract. He will be missed. He was my friend and mentor. I hope to continue his functional, friendly, and respectful relationship with Barbara and the district office. Currently, many teachers, including myself, are teaching session 1 of summer school. Big thanks to all for helping our students during the summer break. Also, RTA hopes to continue negotiations with the district in the upcoming weeks. I would like to thank Sherry Titus, Tammy Starkey for being the negotiations co-chairs and for setting up and organizing RTA's proposals. Next, I would like to welcome all new teachers and new site administrators to our district. Welcome to the family. Last week, RTA and CSEA had a very productive LCAP meeting with Dan Wexler, in which classroom supply budgets and to please hire more parent educators, especially at the lower grades, were discussed among other very important topics. Next, it was announced today by Barbara Gaines that all teachers at Southern Curry Unified School District will get $250 for classroom supplies. This is an increase from last year. Big thanks. Lastly, my goal as president is to be a voice for all educators and students and to be devoted to helping all teachers and keeping and maintaining a strong teachers association and contract. Thank you so much.
And please tell all the teachers that we really appreciate them working this summer and helping out the kids that really want to help after our hiatus.
Yeah, I didn't do it last year, but when we had summer school going for elementary from 2002 to 2009, I did it every year. And yeah, I like being back in there. This is a group that needs it.
Yes, it is needed. So, thank you. CSEA.
Hello, good evening. Not a whole lot to report with CSEA. We're still in negotiations with the district, and I do want to say congratulations to for becoming the president of RTA. And we are also going to be trying to work a little bit closer between both unions going forward, because I feel like there's been a little bit of a disconnect in the past, and once part of the same district, we're working with the same unions. Like we're coming together to make things better. That would be great for everybody. So we've discussed that a lot, Other than that, I just want to say congratulations to all the new admins. I know that some people got promoted. Congratulations.
CBO, Mr. Irving.
Hi there. First of all, I'd like to say welcome to Mr. Warfield. It's interesting to see the face over there. That's, not Mr. Clement. Hopefully his imprint in the chair is the same as yours. I've been working on the budget at that time of the year again, for the funk. You'll hear a presentation on that later. For everybody working summer school, I want to say thank you. It's tremendously helpful, and we're, it was a long school year, and to do 2 sessions of summer school and then go into, it's a lot, but, it's also needed and very much appreciated by the district that, you guys are willing to come in and do that. Just to hit on the topic in the consent items, at the last board meeting, there were questions on the quotes on the tree trimming. In the intervening meeting, or in the intervening time since that meeting, Raleigh reached out to more companies. Hopefully one responded back and then didn't show up for the appointment. So that is why you'll see the same quotes on there again. If, if you'll approve it, yay. If not, we'll continue to try and, find somebody to come out and, see if we can get a competitive quote. But, the hedge off questions there, no pun intended. And then additionally, on business and operations is the award of a contract to Chartwell's for food service consulting. In the audience tonight is Julie Veal, who I will defer questions to about that. She is a representative of Chartwell's. So that is it for me.
Assistant Superintendent of Instruction and Curriculum, Ms. Lacy.
Good evening, everyone. As several people have mentioned, summer school is up and running smoothly, started on Monday at each of the school sites. Currently right now, West Park, I think, has about 120, I might be a little off. Roseman Elementary is about 95 students attending. Trebico and the high school are about 80 at both places. And Alta has, I think, about 35. And I too would like to thank all of our administrators for stepping up and working the summer school hours and helping our kiddos out and getting that all set up. Our teachers, all of our classified staff, I don't want to list all of them because I accidentally leave something out and I feel really bad if I did. But there's so many of you that are out there really helping, and we couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you to all of you who have really helped make our summer school have a very successful start. So thank you so much. This Friday will be our first Doug Fisher training, and it will be an administration workshop for all of our district administrators at the district office and all of our school administrators. So I'm really looking forward to that. We'll be working on all kinds of fun things with him and getting things, looking forward to next school year. I too would like to welcome all of our new site administrators. Looking forward to working with all of them in their different spots or the new ones coming in. So I am excited about that. I have lots of other things in the agenda today to talk, so I'm going to save the rest of my time. Thank you, everybody.
Associate Superintendent of Human Resources.
Good evening, everyone. We are, HR is busy. We're trying to fill all those open spots. We have a few, so we are working to get those done. Our administrators are going to be participating in a Capturing Kids Hearts leadership blueprint professional development tomorrow. So that will be lots of fun for everybody. I too wanted to thank everybody that is working summer school. You know, we couldn't do summer school without everybody, and our kids certainly need it this year. But I do hope that everyone does have an opportunity to relax and refresh and get ready to be back for that 22-23 school year. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent Gaines.
Thank you, President Gutierrez. I want to say good evening and welcome to everyone. It's great to see everyone this evening. I first of all wanted to say that we have a team of students from Tropico Middle School who are, as we speak, in Washington, D.C. I would love to be there with them, but as you can see, I'm not. But today, they sent me some pictures, and I'm going to pass these around. I want to thank Mr. Schmidt and Ms. Vogenthaler. I'll just kind of show you, and then I'll pass them around. This is a picture. Pardon?
Mrs. Halverson, too.
Mrs. Albertson. Albertson. Thank you, Mr. Adams. This is a picture, and you'll see them as I pass them around. They're in front of the Supreme Court. So they say they did some great sightseeing today. And this one, they're in front of the Capitol. So I'm sure Ms. Vogenthaler probably shared some information about what recently took place at the Capitol. And this one, as you can see, they're having too much fun in front of the White House. So it looks like they're enjoying their trip to Washington, D.C. So I want to thank the teachers who shared those pictures with me today, and I'm so happy the kids are enjoying their visit to our nation's capital. I too want to thank everybody for summer school. It kicked off Monday, and it is always great to hear that we have kids at all of our sites, and there's lots of learning going on. And when you think that kids just left school Friday, and 3 days later they're back at school. I can remember being a student. I don't know if I ever go to summer school. I shouldn't say that, but I think I did one year. Anyway, I'm so happy that our kids are anxious and willing to step right into that group and continue their learning. So great to have that. Thank all the staff members, all the teachers, and all the site administrators who are making that happen. And last week we had several graduations and promotion ceremonies, and I want to congratulate the students. The ceremonies, every single one of them were very, they were beautiful. The kids were so well behaved and polite, and it was just such a breath of fresh air to be able to see them actually participating in a live ceremony and not a drive-by or anything like that. So that was a great experience. John, I don't know much about baseball announcers, but I thought you hit the ball out of the park tonight. So that was awesome. And Fallon, I thank you because you have a great goal there. Just wanting to make sure that RTA, CSEA, and VO, we work better together as we move forward in this next year, 22-23, and hopefully, we won't see too much of the pandemic, and hopefully that'll really fade. I want to announce this evening the winners of the attendance competition, but I'm going to tell them that I'm not going to pass out the banners now because you will just probably, I'm not sure what you will do with them over the summer, but Sally's very possessive of those banners over the summer. So anyway, our top elementary school, anybody want to make a wager who that top elementary? Okay, Nat, you got it.
It's West Park.
West Park, Nat, you're so good. Wow, you got it, Nat. 92.48% attendance, West Park Elementary. And secondary, it is, these two schools have bounced back and forth. For the May 2nd to June 2nd attendance, goes back to Roseman High School. Say it isn't so, right, Ed? Say it isn't so. But here's the unfortunate thing that I'm very sad about. Not one of our schools from May 2nd to June 2nd made any improvement. All 6 schools declined slightly in their attendance percentage. So anyway, but those were our attendance winners for the past month. And the only other thing I want to announce is, you all saw it, we did get an official letter from Dr. Barlow congratulating the district on our California Community Schools grant, $7.1 million. And this is for a lot of social, emotional, and wraparound services and building a better relationship with our community. And so that's all I have this evening.
Board members. Jim?
Well, we don't have many here today. Wish there was more. Hopefully we got a lot on the internet, but I think we're in for challenging times, and I know we got negotiations going on, and it's going to be tough, because I don't want to go 2 or 3 years down the road and have to see a big time downside again, because we feel that a lot. I mean, it's tough. I understand everybody needs more money. Gas prices are outrageous, but we're headed for a recession. And I really want our school district to be careful. But I find out we also have a top on our savings that, I don't know how they can do that. So, I mean, you can have a savings for up to 1 month of savings. So we'll have saving account for 1 month, and after that we have to lay everybody off or something. And I hate to see that. I'd like to see our school district be able to save some money for that rainy day, because it's coming. It's $15 an hour minimum wage, going to go up to $15.50 to $16 before we know it. There's no stop to the cost of things. Running a small business as I run, we run into the red a lot of the times, and you've got to have savings to keep yourself afloat, or you're in trouble. And unfortunately, as a school district, we're not allowed to do that. We depend on our governor and our government, and I think that's going to get us into trouble in a year or 2 from now. So hang on. I think we're all for a big ride, and it's going to be a lot of experience and a lot of learning. I want to thank our school teachers. All the stuff that's going on here, other districts are hiring more money and this and that, and I understand it's important times, and money really matters now. But I want to thank them for their dedication to where they say, it's not always about the money. It's about a family. It's about a community that we've been raised in. We got a lot of people that teach here that's been raised and grown up here. And I really appreciate them staying around and looking after of what we started here in our little town. And that's really important. And I strived hard this last 4 years to make sure that we have a district office that was respected among everybody else too. And I think we have it. I think we finally got a team that's working together and looking out for each other as a district, as a whole school district, and not just the teachers looking at the teachers and this person looking after this person. I really believe that we're all looking after each other and trying to do the very best that we can in these times that we're having, and at very difficult times. And I understand that people need raises to survive nowadays, but it's going to be tough for the school district. It's going to be tough all around for everyone. So really, I want to thank all our workers and everybody that's dedicated to Roseman High School. All the teachers, administration, everybody. Thank you.
So, I'm glad to be back. I haven't been here since April. Had a few health problems, but I'm feeling a lot better now. Now, your goal of everybody working together, I think is great. Welcome, Mr. Warfield. I don't like to see administration changes as much, but when we have to do what we have to do, we have to do what we have to do. But I do like when we make those changes. I see Ed Shevlin helping out the new guy at the high school. Mr. Adams helping out at Shevlin, and then going over there and listening to Natalia. And I just love to see everybody working together. I mean, I've been in the school district since I was in preschool, and I would always hear about how so-and-so wasn't getting along with so-and-so up here at the DO. But we're all working together as a team, which I love. Doesn't seem like there's much bad juju going on. But do we do school busing for summer school?
Yes.
Man, I love to hear that. Field trips going on, sports are being ran, summer school's being ran. I mean, we have a summer, we are, what do we call it today? In your office, state of the art. Southern Currents, we have state of the art. I love it. I had another question, but I lost it now.
You're too young for that.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go there.
I got excited about the school bus. All right.
Hello, internet, everybody that's here. I got to experience graduation last week. This is my first time. This is my first year on the board. I was so excited when I saw like kids that I knew and kids that have grown up with my kids, and just to see them like walk across the stage. It was very exciting. I was feeling a little emotional, but I was just so proud of those kids because I walked across that stage numerous times. 8th grade, you remember Fallon? 8th grade, senior year, it's amazing. And I love this district, and I'm proud to say that I'm on the board and I'm raising my kids here because I love this town. I love that I know you, I know your kids, I know your kids, I know your kids, I know your kids. Who else's kids do I know? I don't know. I know your kids. I just love that, and there's just something super special about Southern Kern. And we have to support our teachers and our certified, classified, damn it, excuse me, classified staff, and we just have to really work together and pull through this and make it to the summer and get ready for the next school year, because I'm going to be at Westar, I'm going to be at Jopito, and it's going to be really exciting. Come on over. I will be there. I'm right around the corner. Walk on over. Huh? You can see it's a
You're riding the bus.
Oh. Well,
Ride the bus, there you go.
I can ride the bus. I do need to come over there because I'm kind of taking my daughter to Jopito. Yeah. I will come over. That's all I know.
Okay, I do want to thank everybody for coming tonight and those who are tuning in on YouTube, so thank you on that. I've had, this year was the first time I had the opportunity to, I think we all, in a couple of years, to attend the 8th grade promotions and the high school graduation and promotion in Tropico. And what was fun about all that, and by the way, thanks Nat for the stool I needed to sit on. I still have some knee and back issues, so I paid for it tonight at the high school. But I really enjoyed it. I got to talk to a couple of the kids that I know, especially Aiden, the young man that was in that accident. Really was proud to see how, not only how he's come through with that, but here he is up there with a gold robe, and I'm going, okay. But this kid went through a lot, so I appreciate that. But thanks for all the staff, teachers, the classified, the administrators, for a wonderful school year. You guys did great. Ed, congratulations on your promotion. Now you're going to find a clone for you for athletics, because you are doing an outstanding job there. And it's like somebody asked me the other day, you're changing athletic administrator? I go, yes, he got promoted. So there's hope. So, definitely glad to see that you did get that promotion. I know there's folks that are moving around, so sometimes the change is good. I firmly believe that in being a manager. It was nice to move people around to get a better, fresher idea.
Not so quick, though.
No, not so quick.
We don't want to move around that quick.
No, we don't want to move around that quick, but, the thing is that,
He
you
just
know what I'm
got, he
saying?
just got the plaque on his desk, so that.
Yeah, he had the athletic administrative play, now he's the chief. Yeah. No, but you're not gonna live that one down for me, I think you know that. Is I've watched what you've done with the athletics programs. I'm talking about even some of the coaches who are follow-on, they're all talking about it. They're all actually going back to, this is, the athletic program is for the students, not only the students, but I don't want to see negative rivalry between coaches. I want those coaches to turn around and have fun together. Kids see that, they respond better to it. I've already seen that. I'm hoping we'll get somebody in that will keep that going. And I know you're gonna want to make sure it's done that way as well.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
You know what? I think I wasn't confident all today.
I'm always confident.
Anyways, thanks everybody for tuning in and our audience that we have today. They've said it all, so I won't bore you with any of my speaking.
Oh, man. I was gonna say, there was a TikTok thing going on at the high school graduation, and Mario got a very good collection of golf balls.
Yes.
Did you really?
That's so cool.
Yes, it was cool. It was.
I'm going golfing because I lose a lot of balls.
I haven't bring that up because the kids, they were really great. They were really good. And the only way I found out about it is one of them accidentally gave it to me. I'm going, what is this? You give it to him. So I knew something was up, but I didn't know what it was until somebody said later.
It was very cute. It was very innocent.
Yeah.
We just didn't know about it till.
They're great colors too. They're usually hard to lose. If there's water, they won't be down at the bottom. Water has an attraction for golf balls.
Yes.
Very good. Do we have any comments from the public?
No, we don't.
Thank you very much. Does anybody have any questions on the consent items? A through K?
I do not, we really accept the consent items as the case.
Motion by Ms. Lutz, seconded by Hepburn. And aye. It was so just because it was put sideways.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Everybody good with it?
Yes.
Okay.
That's your call.
Tree trimming?
Yeah.
Yeah,
All in
I
favor?
really like how they broke it down just too, Robert. With the pictures and all that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Second reading and review on the list of board policies from March 2022. Does anybody have any questions on it? There's an action item at the bottom. There's an action. It's an action. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Hepburn. All in favor? Aye. Annual school site Title I evaluation of implementation results of school-wide program. Mrs. Mason, please.
Every school year, we're required to do an evaluation of our Title I programs and present that to the board. So we're doing that this evening. Each school site will do their own little presentation, a brief
Presentation.
very brief presentation. They were very brief. Yeah, so, Mr. Mesa put this together for Roseman Elementary School, so I'll just kind of go over it for you. So Read 180 and System 44 are the reading intervention programs that were used this school year. And they were used during their universal access time from August through May. System 44 is typically used with third graders. They did use it with a few of their fourth graders this year because of a little bit of learning loss that had occurred and we needed a little bit of extra support. And Read 180 is used with our fourth and fifth graders, and they also do use it in two of their RSP classrooms. Read 180 consists of whole group instruction, small group instruction, and then independent learning instruction as well. This is one of the charts that they have. It kind of shows that there's a piece in here that tells you how many topics that were completed. And altogether, the fourth and fifth grade in Read 180 completed 144 topics. There were 158 students in Read 180. They also did in kindergarten, first and second grade, they used iRead, which kind of correlates with, it's the same, it's a Hood Mifflin product as well as Read 180 and System 44. The red at the top kind of shows the status of where students are. If you look at each grade level, there's grade kindergarten, first and second. The numbers kind of let you know at about how many students are at each of the different levels. There's 3 levels, A, B, and C. Where you want your students to be is for them by second grade to be coming close to finishing all of the C levels. We did have still quite a few students still up in the top of level B and level A in second grade, which means that they still have quite a ways to go with in iRead this school year.
That was for Roseman Elementary?
Yeah.
I can't see, can you give me the percentage?
It is very tiny. I'm sorry, I didn't put this PowerPoint together, so.
Okay.
It will be a little bigger. So in kindergarten, you're going to expect for the most part in kindergarten, they're going to pretty much stay in that level A section. That's letter recognition, lowercase letter recognition, letter sounds, introduction to blending and segmenting. So all but 7 students, so 5% of them stayed within that A section for iRead in kindergarten. In the first grade, there was approximately, 67 students that were in the level A section. And
57
then,
students?
yes, 67. And then we had 35, 45, 52 students that progressed into level B, and 1 student that made it through to the middle of level C in first grade. And second grade, this is what you want to see. By second grade, you want to see them kind of moving towards the bottom.
Yes.
Into level C.
That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah. And so at the top for second grade, there are approximately 28 students that were still in level A, that were still working on those basic functioning letter sounds, letter recognition, blending and segmenting. Most of them were kind of stuck in that blending and segmenting section. For level B, there's 68, 70, so about 80 students. The biggest chunks in level B, 5, 6, and 7. So that would be about 60, 70, 80 students that were in level B, 5, 6, and 7, and 7, 8. that had progressed down to the 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 portion, the bottom half of level B. And there were 5, 6 students that were down in level C. Typically, in a normal year, we see more students that have progressed down to that level C in the second grade. However, I think there is that learning gap that was at the beginning of the year, so it was trying to get the.
So this would be the data you can use to see how the student's progressing from first to third grade.
A little bit of it, yes, just one little piece of data.
In the reading.
Just one little
Just
small
a little
piece of data. This is just, the benchmark assessments would give us a better indicator of that.
Okay.
A lot of our some of our Title I funds go towards paying for paraeducators. Currently at Roseman Elementary for Title I, they had 2 kindergarten paraeducators and 1 first grade paraeducator. So 3 total. They did have PE paraeducators, but I believe that was paid out of LCAT funds and not Title I. Yellow. Okay. One of those two. How they're used in the classroom to work with lower performing students, ELA. They work with sight words, reading fluency, those types of things. Math, number recognition, math facts, so addition and subtraction facts, and then they feel at that school, at Roseman Elementary School, that paraeducators are very effective as they provide intervention in small group or one-on-one to those students with the greatest need. Some of the Title I parental engagement things that they had at RES were back to school night, parent conferences, Title I parent night, PTA meetings, school set council meetings, and kindergarten TK meet and greet. This list is a little bit smaller than normal due to COVID restrictions and things, and especially at the beginning of the year, we didn't have parents coming on campus as much. And the parent communication that they put out regularly was the Rock and Robin newsletter, website, Blackboard, and social media. And sorry, it probably took me a little longer than it should have to do this, but I put this together. So. There you go. Yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
Do you want this?
Let's have, oh. So this is our Title I work, and we have custom paraeducators. We have 4 for TK to first. We have iRead, K to second, System 44 in third, and Read 184 in fifth. We have Accelerated Reader. We use our IXL for math and ELA, and our curriculum engagement. So our paraeducators, we have a total of 4. So we have 1 in TK, 2 in kindergarten, and 1 in first grade. They work with our lower performing students. They do small groups. They help with their sight words and their reading fluencies and their letter recognition, and they are indispensable. That's our teachers going to tell you that. They help with number recognition and math facts, and they're with them all day long. So the use of paraeducators is very effective. I know that all grades would love to have them, but right now this is what we have, and so they work very hard all day long. This is our chart about kindergarten and our data from August to April with our 2 paraeducators. So we have our ELA benchmark and the numbers that you see there. Looking at their letters and sounds, there are 52 letters in their sounds, and their lowercase and their uppercase, and their sight words, which is 40 words. And then it just talks about the paraeducators really are extremely beneficial. I know our TK teacher was thrilled when she got hers, full time, because there's a lot of little ones running around, and she was extremely helpful. First grade, with our paraeducator, again, this is our early literacy benchmark, and they are at 59 points for standard. Their fluency, they want them at 56 correct words per minute, and their math benchmark, they want them at 55 points. And then the growth they did, when we did this, was from August to December for 4 months, and then again, we tested our benchmark just a few weeks ago.
Can I ask you a question real quick? Are they hitting that benchmark with the paraeducator? Do you see it?
100% no, but are they going in the right direction? Absolutely.
A percent, not 100%, 50, 70?
50%, 70%, something like that.
50 or 70% are getting there?
Yeah, I mean, it was a slow roll this year, but it's absolutely going in the right direction, I believe. This is just some statistics. Leslie was talking about the level A, B, and C, and so these are the numbers that we used for kindergarten, how many were at each level, and for the series of books and numbers that they use. And it says, when looking at the data, there was a correlation between the amount of time of use of numbers of sessions per class with the increase in the scores in the reading benchmark system. So there is a direct correlation between the paraeducator's help and the students' increasing. At least that's what we use here. So for third grade, we have Systems 44. We have RSP and RSDC classes. During the year, they use it during their universal access time from August to May. And we have 2 third grade teachers that use it. And we have Read 180 as well, 4th and 5th grade, and RSP. Again, we have during the year, they do this during year A, and we have 2 teachers that do that as well. Our Accelerated Reader, which is a really great program that we have on campus. So this is the average correct percent per grade, and the total points earned. They get points when they take an AR quiz or an AR test. And so the goal is obviously
So explain it to me. With the kindergarten, I can't see, is
So-
89% of the students?
Basically in kindergarten, not very many of them are able to read independently.
Okay.
And they don't really start this until almost the very end of the school year for those kiddos that can read independently.
Okay.
So there may be 1 or 2 that maybe start towards the beginning of the school year in a class. And then as the year progresses, as they start to be able to read independently, the teachers will have them start going to the library. So it's kind of on an ability level as to whether or not they are able to start doing that. Is if they can. AR is all about being able to read independently and take an assessment on that and on your own, basically. And if they can't do that on their own, then those students that are still learning their letters and sounds are not capable of doing that. And that's why you see the number of total points earned. Also, the number of points typically read in kindergarten and first grade, the books are worth like a half of a point. Whereas when you get to the 4th, 5th grade, most of the books are worth like 5, 10 points. So the ability to earn more points more quickly, they have that ability to do that. So that's why you see the point numbers go up as the grades go up.
Thank you, Leslie.
Sorry.
It's okay. Our parent engagement, same thing. We have back to school night. We have parent teacher conferences, our Title I night, our PTA meetings, our school site council meetings, and our community meet and greet. We'll have all of those this coming school year and the way we have outreach, we have our Gazette, which we send out once a month. We have our websites, our Blackboard messages, which go out a lot, and our Twitter as well. And any questions?
I have a question. So, you said you have 4 paraeducators at West Park. 1 is dedicated for first grade. So is that 1 paraeducator going between like different first grade classes throughout the day? Okay, yeah. Okay.
There's a schedule and they go to.
Ms. Lacey, if clarifications, I would like, and I think the board would as well, I would like to see some STAR data, the initial benchmark, maybe the mid-year and the end of year, because school has ended and that data is pretty easy to pull and put in the presentation. So I think for the board to really be able to assess if there is any growth going on and the value of any paraeducator in the classroom, we need to see outcome data, and I did not see outcome data. I couldn't even hardly read it myself, and I'm sitting right here, the number of students that were in the program, the number of students who made substantial growth from the beginning of the year to the mid-year to the end of the year. If you could just make that happen next year for us, that would be great.
And typically we didn't add the CAS data and things like that on the benchmark data because it was reflected, this is more reflective of actual Title I programs and the use and the growth within those programs and not so much. And so with the paraeducators, like at Roseman, West Park, I actually used to have a form that they would fill out with the specific students in the area of growth for each one. And that was the data point that would be shown for the paraeducators. So we can add that to there as well.
I just would like to see some data that shows
Yeah.
growth or not.
I'm
I
not
didn't
sure
really
if
see
the
it.
West Park one, when I did it, I had the benchmark assessment data for those, as part of the report that I got from the teachers for the paraeducators and the students that they typically work with in the small groups. So they just kept data for me, on the students that they worked with, and then they would, the teachers would report out what their growth was for those students that were being worked with, just the paraeducator for the most part. And then, because they typically work with those students with the greatest need, those students and what their area, where they started and what the growth rate for those students were, and reading on the benchmark, and then in math on the benchmark. So that's what I would like to see on it, is really focusing on those students that the paraeducator is actually working with, to see that difference in the growth that they've made. Not all of the students, because the paraeducators don't work with.
Yeah, not only paraeducators, I agree with paraeducators, but I also would like to see program data. How effective are these programs that we're spending lots of zeros on? So I'm just saying that you could at least like see some of that data.
Yeah, it would be with this actual report, because this report is strictly for Title I.
Right.
That would be kind of nice to see, like at the end of the year, what the kids have actually learned.
But some of the programs are paid from Title I.
Right, but.
And that's why this report was just for a Title I.
Yeah.
We have, annually we have to do this for Title I programs.
Title I being.
But I don't see, even the Title I programs, I'm not seeing data. How did, facts. There's no facts. That's what I'm saying.
No, I agree.
Okay,
Can
thank
I
you.
add one small thing? Sorry. It's also difficult for educators when there's one per grade level and they're hopping from classroom to classroom. It's just that time to get in and get settled with the students and actually have the time to touch them or help them. It's minimal, because I know even if you're looking at paraeducators in the classroom for 20 or 30 minutes, just the time to get in there and get set up and help the students, it cuts down a little bit. So just absolutely, I know you guys receive a lot of growth, but just more.
I know it would be nice. I mean, we talk one paraeducator 50%. Let's throw two. We need to get to 100% somehow. I don't know if we can do it anymore. Do we have parents volunteering coming to class? Can we do that anymore? No.
We have not been able to do it this year, Mr. Bender, because of COVID.
Okay.
I've had to try to keep the students and staff as safe as possible. We do have some volunteers coming back now for field trips we did, et cetera, prior to the end of the year. Of course, our goal is by August 10th to be able to welcome back our parents as volunteers. We just have to continue to monitor the COVID.
But is that something that we're allowed to do as a teacher? Take a parent of a student and say, I'd like her to work in my classroom, and give her a couple students to help with math problems, or is that something we're allowed to do or no?
Well, I don't think it's necessarily an issue of whether we're allowed to do it, but it depends on what are the standards being addressed with those students. Are they, for example, geometry, algebra, are they standards that the parents understand? Some, math concepts now are becoming more and more difficult, and so we would just have to make sure that this is an area that the parent, thoroughly excels in and understands how.
The kindergarten, first, second, third.
And when we're talking about facts, our administrators, Ms. James, didn't we tell them to do a monthly newsletter all the time, every month?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I only see them once every 2-3 months, so don't put it in here that we're doing a monthly if we're not. Because like, they send them to us, and if you send them to Barbara sends them to us, and I don't see them once a month. I see them, seems to me like you guys do them when you want to do
Something we can work on. All right, Trump go.
Sorry, Trump to go.
Oh.
I got them on our way.
So. Which one am I pushing? The other arrows?
Yeah, first of all.
There we go. All right. I'm going to talk to you about the effectiveness of our opportunity program. We've made some decisions regarding our opportunity program this year that's going to change what we're doing with our intervention and SLS. I'm just going to go. Upside down?
Yeah.
All right, then. Thank you. So, our data from last year was a bit skewed because it was COVID data. And it was very difficult to get these kids engaged. So I'm skipping to what we did this year and some adjustments that we would like to make, if it's okay. Our 8th grade intervention students, so we have intervention class and we have opportunity students. Opportunity students are in a self-contained class all day long, okay? And they're using the SLS program for the core subjects and for credit retrieval. Intervention students give up their electives and take credit retrieval for that elective. The ones that are severely credit deficient, we put in opportunity. So we kind of have a threshold. If you're 15 to 20, sometimes even 20 credits short, we can put you in intervention depending on what kind of student you are. If you're 20 or more, you're going to opportunity. Okay? We have students in the 40 credit deficient range who have failed, especially this year, because we had kids fail the entire 6th grade year, the entire 7th grade year. So we had an uphill battle. So right off the bat, 8th grade intervention students, these are the ones with the elective. 12 of those students in the program completed their credit retrieval and promoted. The majority of those made up 15 to 20 credits. There was one that only had one class to make up, but I still counted them. The others were all multi-class deficient students who made up their credits and were able to promote. The opportunity program, we are recommending be discontinued due to staffing issues. So we had a legitimate certificated teacher for a month and a half, and then he transferred to Abraham. And then we had period subs for 2.5 months. 3 months, period subs. So that's teacher of the period, not teacher of the day, different teacher every single period. Okay, and students who are 40 to 50 credits short are the types of students that like to walk out of class, disappear when they're being transferred to another classroom. So you can imagine what that looked like, what type of work was going on. So there was not a lot of success with our opportunity students. However, 4 of those opportunity students made up between 30 and 50 credits. That was the range, and promoted, which was amazing. And so it takes the right type of student to withstand the change that was going on to actually get down and finish those credits and promote. I was very impressed with those students. But those 6 intervention classes were taught by that row-week sub disaster that I just told you. So those weren't very effective. With the credit retrieval electives that we will have will be taught by someone who is trained on it, a regular teacher. One of them will be a science teacher. One of them will be our English learner, our ELD teacher. So they'll be trained. They're constant. They're there all the time. And so those electives we expect to be much more effective. And when combined with our after-school credit retrieval, we expect to see better results. Our general education paraeducators, we didn't have them. They lasted less than a month. So, and we could never hire, no one ever applied, I assume.
Yeah.
No one ever applied. So there is no data to provide as our general education paraeducators just didn't pan out for us. We could have used them anywhere and everywhere. Our sixth grade really could have used them. Our ELs were benefiting just in the month that we had a paraeducator in there. Our ELs were benefiting. And then that one fell through, and then the other one resigned, and that was it. No one else, we even lost our attituders, they resigned. So we had no extra assistance in the classroom. Pretty difficult. Our parent involvement opportunities, Mr. Moore, I was one of those that did not send my newsletter out every month. I think I had 5 total. So I had 6. I'll do better. Should have 8. 10? Sorry. Okay, so our parent conferences, these were the best parent conferences we had since I've been there for the 8 years I was at Tropico. I think there was a worry that having them in the day was going to be terrible. I loved it, so thank you. It was great. We had it set up really nice too. It was a much more outdoor feel. We didn't cram everybody in the cafeteria. It was throughout the entire campus. I like that much more than our normal. Our middle school success series still is not taking off. We had 2 of them, and we had single digits attend them. The first one was 4, the second one was 6. Our new student orientation, huge all the time. We'll obviously continue to do that. Title I Parent Night was, I think there were 5 there. We weren't able to do our movie night. Our TMS athletics, although it wasn't up to par, we still held our athletics. The only sport that didn't participate was soccer, and that was not due to us. We were ready to go, but the league we were in was not. It is. We've got confirmation that all sports will be season. Our TMS band, thank you to the support of Superintendent Gaines, is just hitting on all cylinders. And with an 8-period schedule next year, it's going to be even better. Our band really, this was a great recovery year for them from COVID. Mr. Ferrandini was pretty psyched by the end of the year. Our site council meetings, we did not meet our 8 limit. Our English Language Advisory Committee, man, did we ever have good attendance at these. We had our meetings, and there were no less than 20 a meeting. And then when Mrs. Olmos started providing food, we jumped to 30. So it was awesome. And that was kind of her swan song. She retired, and she really worked for her husband because he was the one bringing all the food. But we also had, by the last meeting, we had parents bringing food and drinks as well. It was just a really good feel, the English Learner Advisory Committee. And that is it. Is there any questions yet? Thank you. Choose the right way. Yeah. There you go. Thanks. I'll help you. Thanks.
I'm going to be reporting on Abraham Lincoln and Rare Earth. This was the first year that we actually had some Title I programs and or paraeducators. So there is very limited data. What I can say is we had a paraeducator in our TK through 3rd and Abraham Lincoln. Because of AB 130, we had to open our doors from TK through 12. So Abraham Lincoln was servicing 13 different years. We divided them up. Ms. Canham handled our TK through 3rd, and then when we really imploded, she started taking the older kids after the little ones went home. We didn't allow them to intermingle. Her paraeducator was vital in supporting her because she was bringing in the groups and she was working with them on their letter sounds, their math. But keep in mind, this was all happening in 1 hour a day, 5 days a week. So they crammed it all together. They got it all. They worked as a really good team while she was working with the main group. The paraeducator was working with the smaller group, and she had them. The ones that advanced really wanted their letters. She would work with them, and then they would just trade off over an hour period. And she divided that up with all the subjects, with reading, math, and science. And I believe she got a little bit of social studies in there too. So these kids were never idle. If you walked in, they were constantly moving, and the best part is they helped each other, and they would have loved to tell you what you didn't know about kindergarten or first grade, because they taught me a lot this year. Our intervention tutor that we had, again, because of AB 130, we used her primarily to work with our high school students, but she was also assisting the other teachers, the other 3 general ed teachers that we had, in making phone calls home. Because under AB 130, the students would come in for 1 day a week. However, we had to provide them support via Zoom, via the phone, or check-in for an additional 1 hour every day. So they were in person 1 day, 4 days, they were at home working, but they had the full support. We utilized our intervention tutor to back up the teachers. Because sometimes we'd have a student, the mom would call up and say, hey, I'm going to be late for my appointment, I got a flat tire. We still had to see that student, we still need to work with the student, so we just have the intervention tutor pick up the slack for the teacher, 15, 20 minutes checking in with a 4th grader, a 5th grader, all the way up to 12th grade. So parents really love that. She was really good. She would work with the 4th graders at their math level, and then she would do the high school math with them as well. We were fortunate at Rare Earth, we had a teacher that is capable of doing mathematics up to college calculus. So whenever our intervention tutor, Miss Christina, got bogged down with a problem, she would run over and go, okay, I need you to give me a 10-second tutorial. I'm meeting with this 12th grader in 10 minutes. And they would just work together. So there's a lot of times our gates were flapping both ways because we were helping each other out. This was a very unique year. And mind you, we found out all about this late July. So we had less than 2 weeks to put a program together, have the curriculum ready, and have everything to go when we opened up this year on August 9th, I believe. So they did a great job. So our intervention tutor, she was highly effective. She is taking a well-deserved vacation this year because she's going to pick up where we left off in August. Our intervention tutor at Rare Earth for grades 9 through 12, she was hired and she started with us in late February, early March. When we got her in, our primary focus was to work with our seniors. A lot of our seniors were what we call on the maybe list for graduation. We had her work with them on their algebra requirements, on their economic requirements. Wherever they needed it, we got the most bang. We put her in groups of 4 or 5. We had 3 gen ed teachers. So what we would do is we would just put her with the classroom for a full period, 52 minutes. She would work with a group, so she would just bounce from classroom to classroom to classroom to classroom and just go back and forth. Next year, we're going to do a better job because we're going to have all of our benchmarks and we're going to have all of our CAS data. So we're going to build groups for her to work with in the classrooms based on where the students need them. Not 1 or 2, but where we can actually give her a group of maybe 4 to 5, maybe up to 6 kids who are at the same place, at the same need, so we can utilize her more efficiently and more effectively next year. Well, basically that's what I said. I said that already. Thank you. It's like I'm clear here. And again, we had 2, one at ALS, one at RHS. They did mostly small group intervention on subject matter that the students need the additional support. Near the end of the year with the 1-on-1 intervention on math, the writing skills they focused on, what we were realizing is a lot of seniors were coming back and they were having a hard time getting a job or lining up the next step, whether they were going to go to Antelope Valley College or apply to Cal State Bakersfield. And what we found out was they weren't very strong on letters of introductions about themselves. So she and 2 of the teachers would just work with the students during the day, sometimes after school, on how to write or build a strong resume, and then how to write a good letter of introduction either to the colleges or to an employer. And they did a lot of work with that. The kids loved it. They appreciated it. I think we have a couple of kids that came back and they said that I think one of them is interviewing soon for a paraeducator position here in the district because she said she wants to work with the little kids. So she's excited. So we're hoping that her letter is good because we worked a lot of time with her. She also worked with our ELL kids, our second language learners. they had their own ELD and ELA classes, but this was just to give them additional support when they were not taking English as a second language coursework. So they were helping them with their word problems. They were helping them with some of the ELA assignments, both on Acellus and at Rare Earth. We have, as a culminating event, they have a special lesson, which could be in, let's say in economics, it could be, give us a 2-page paragraph on how the gas price is rising or how inflation is going to affect your bottom line. How's that going to affect your parents' ability to take a vacation to wherever? So they would help them with that as well. Impact. Just basically our intervention tutor, we've had her a full year this year. During the period of distance learning, she worked with us via Zoom, and she helped reduce the loss of learning as evidenced by our benchmark assessments. At Abraham Lincoln, the kids take the benchmark assessments really seriously. And I'm sorry I don't have any data to give you right now, but we did see a small growth. So as for learning loss, we saw some, but not as bad as we anticipated. At Rare Earth, we've met with quite a few parents. We had a small group of boys who thought it was really fun to see who could get the lowest score in ELA. So if you looked at our benchmark information, there's a small group of boys that are actually functioning at a pre-primer level. The parents don't think it's funny. We didn't think it was funny, and the parents are dealing with them accordingly. With the return to in-person learning, she continues to work with all of our students, especially the students in grades 4th grade. Our benchmark scores remain consistent and show a small increase. By next year, I'll have all of that for you. Mr. Bender, if you'd like to see it, I could probably have it put together to you and give it to you by August. At Rare Earth, our intervention tutor was hired at the time that we made this PowerPoint about 2 months ago, so we got her, like I said, late February, early March. And we don't have any data to show her impact because we've had it for such a short amount of time. But I'd say if I had to present anything, I know that she helped 3 of our kids actually make it to graduation day. I'm really happy with her. She's a hard worker. And she also works on their self-esteem. A lot of these kids here, you know what, you're no good at math. You're never going to amount to anything. Some of their parents go, look at your grades. You just totally are not a good person. She comes in and tells them, you know what, math's not for everybody. You're doing your best. Let's keep working at it. She builds up their self-esteem. And it's funny, when you believe in a kid actually will perform for you. And we've seen that day in and day out. Thank you. Any questions?
Well, thank you.
I think the school's doing a great job, and again, I'd like to, this would be a good time at the end of the year to see a lot of our data that we have, where they were and where they're at now. That's be good data. But that's Abraham Lincoln is an excellent school. I've got a grandchild over there. They keep me well informed. When she's behind or on her to get her back up, they do an excellent job, and I'm really proud of the teachers over there.
So am I. Thank you.
We don't have very many slides, so we got to this at least just 3 minutes or so. But so for us, what we really discussed in our Title I was it kind of focused more on with this presentation for the library media tech, which was about 23,000, close to 24,000. The position does help our kids to open up the library during lunch, after school, where they can go in. Right now, there isn't a huge plethora of books, but over the summer, I believe mid-July, they're going to be getting close to $175,000 worth of books that have been approved. So with that, had I still been there, this next couple of weeks, or beginning of July, I should say, the whole library is going to be revamped, a lot of stuff taken out, so that you can make room for these books, so that the students can come back in and be able to take out the books. Because right now, to be honest with you, it's a lot more of class sets of what English department's using. We have some books for our SPED students and stuff like that, but not the need that we have at the campus stuff. So with these books, I should say, it's really going to help to get the library up to an actual real library. We've already done the refurbishing. Thanks to Ms. Gaines and you guys for approving it. And it really just now will go to the next level, have the books in there, so when the kids do go in on lunch, do go in after school, they can go in and actually get a book, sit down and read, as if they were in a real library. Because right now, it's not what we desire. So come August, it'll be right up to what we need.
So our library now just basically has like the classroom books in it?
It has some, I mean, some of our teachers that had books in their room, now okay, so we run over, it's in the library, but it's not anything to brag about right now. I would brag about what it looks like, I would brag about the atmosphere, but not our book selection. Miss Gaines has gone out, she had the teachers all give in their input for all these huge amounts of just titles and books and authors, and it's all coming in next month. To
Just
really,
a lot of reading books.
yes, yes, novels and short stories, mysteries, everything. And I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, Ed, I was just gonna explain to Mr. Bender that we bought some new library books last year, Mr. Bender, but not nearly to the monetary amount that we've recently spent for the high school library. Please remember that in 2019, there were no books.
No, there wasn't nothing.
No books in that library.
Yeah, I remember.
So we are replenishing it, and the teachers did a great job at picking not only some of the classics and some of the books that we all probably read, but also some of the newer various genres that with some of the more up-to-date authors that will appeal to our students today as well. So I'm really excited to see what that library looks like. Although it sounds like such an astronomical dollar amount, but sometimes when you see it in books, you're like, okay.
And I think that's what happened last year. You guys approved them, you bought books, and we kind of put them on the shelf more like that. But
that's all we did.
Right. But, so now we have much bigger plans.
And most of the books we bought aren't just paperback books, they're the hardback books, so they'll last longer, and they do cost more.
But I will say, the kids have
We want them to last, so.
I will say the library is being used a lot more now. The kids are going in with the functional furniture and stuff like that. But we have staff meetings, we have stuff. So we try to use the library more and more of a focal point on the campus. As to when I first got there, where it was just so it's nice to see. And then the last thing that was included on the presentation was our Read 180 program, which we're going to get back on our message. That's scheduled before I leave there. But so it is. We have Miss Marcanini and we have Mr. Lewis this year. I know next year Miss Marcanini wants to do it again, as well as I believe Miss Williams is going to be trained. She's coming in she was here this year for SPED. She's going to be taking over the Read 180 program, I believe. And that, again, you need to see the data, and I 100% support that. And I know Ms. Macardini, if she was here, she'd probably be able to out-talk anybody about the program. So she's a firm believer in it, but we need to get the data to support it. So we're going to be working on that. But that was all I was saying. Thank you so much.
And Mrs. Zacchinini put that together.
Yes.
Mario, one time we were talking about getting some law books donated. Is that still a possibility?
So he did. I'm not gonna lie, the problem was a lot of them weren't functional because they were fun. There's a lot of issues. Right, yes. We started going over and we did about 5 or 6 trips and but for the most part they were either we went through book by book, but there's a few still in there, but for the most part they either kind of falling apart or something that was generous from his level and stuff. But it just some of the books just weren't yes.
Kind of the school dashboard for performance. Westman.
Hello. So the local performance indicators are part of the California School Dashboard. The California School Dashboard is a website that shows pertinent information about school districts and schools. And for the local performance indicators, those fill in the gaps where they don't have, where the state doesn't collect data. So it's more the district doing a self-reflection on itself in a variety of areas. So that's what we're going to be looking at. Okay, that's a picture of our dashboard. These are the local indicators that we're going to be looking at. As you can see, the dashboard, it's from last year, the 2021 dashboard, and it's not populated due to COVID. Okay, so we did the local indicators as a collaborative effort. The cabinet worked on all aspects of the local indicators, as well as the LCAP committee. So what you're seeing is a collaboration from the cabinet as well as the LCAP committee. The first part of the local indicators we're going to look at is priority 1, which is basics. So that's teachers, instructional materials, and facilities. So we try to collect the most recent data, but in some instances we don't have reliable or have collected data from this year, so we use previous year's data. So I'll indicate that when that comes up. So from last year, the number and percentage of misassignments of teachers of English learners, there were 2 misassignments of teachers of English learners, or 1.2%. Total teacher misassignments was 2, or 1.2%, and vacant teacher positions was 1, or 0.6%. From this year, the number of percentage of students without access to their own copies of standards-aligned instructional materials for use at school and at home was 0. From this year, the number of identified instances where facilities do not meet the good repair standard was 0. Priority 2 is implementation of academic standards. Okay, we're going to have a lot of these self-reflection tools, and they're going to be on a 5-point scale. So 1 is exploration and research phase, 2 is beginning development, 3 is initial implementation, 4 is full implementation, and 5 is full implementation and sustainability. So for ELA, for professional learning for ELA, we rated ourselves a 3. For ELA instructional materials, a 4. And ELA supporting staff, a 3. ELD, English language development. For professional learning for ELD, 4. Instructional materials for ELD, 4. Supporting staff for ELD, 3. Math, professional learning for math, 3. Instructional materials for math, 4. Supporting staff for math, 3. Science, or next generation progress in developing multiple opportunities for the LEA and school sites to engage in two-way communication between families and educators using language that is understandable and accessible to families, 3. Okay, for family engagement, we do the California Healthy Kids Survey every year. A module of the California Healthy Kids Survey, or a different survey, but part of that suite is the California School Parent Survey. And here are the results of the California School, or some of the results of the California School Parent Survey. 73% of respondents had attended a general school meeting. 69% of respondents had attended a parent-teacher conference. 65% of respondents agreed that school staff treat parents with respect. 60% of respondents agree that the school promptly responds to their phone calls, messages, or emails. 74% of respondents agree that the schools let them know how their child is doing in school between report cards. And 65% of respondents agree that school keeps them well informed about school activities. Here's feedback from the LCAP survey. In the spring, we administered the LCAP survey to the school community and went out to everyone. We had 672 responses. Here are their suggestions for improving family engagement. Allow parents to volunteer on campuses. That was the #1 request, and that's we discussed that we want to accomplish that for next year, if COVID willing. The issue was due to COVID, we couldn't let that happen. They requested that we advertise events in multiple ways, that we provide food at events, give better notice of events, provide Spanish translation, provide childcare for parents for after-school and evening meetings, and hold events outside of work hours. Priority 6, school climate. During the fall of this school year, we administered the California Healthy Kids Survey to students in grades 7, 9, and 11. Okay, one of the questions pertains to perceived safety at school. This is the percentage of students who feel unsafe or very unsafe. For grade 7, 16%. Grade 9, 17%. grade 11, 19%. Question on the survey, I am happy to be at this school. Percentage of students responding very much true or pretty much true. Grade 7, 52%, grade 9, 35%, grade 11, 28%.
When was that taken? Sorry. Was that this year?
Yeah, November of this year, of the school year. Okay, priority 7 is access to a broad course of study. It's split up into grades K through 5 and grades 6 through 12. For K through 5, all students have access to Common Core curriculum for math and ELA. There are supplemental programs to support the curriculum, including a reading intervention program. Students are enrolled in social studies classes that follow the California History of Social Science framework. All students study science, and the district is implementing the NGSS standards. Individual teachers address the visual and performing arts standards within their own classrooms. Individual teachers address the health standards within their own classrooms. Students in grades K through 5 have 80 minutes of PE instruction per week, led by a certified PE teacher. There are no differences across school sites or student groups. Students with disabilities are engaged in the same curriculum as the general education students. Priority 7 continued for grades 6 through 12. Students at Roseman High Early College campus have access to a full course of study, including 9 CTE pathways. Students at TMS have access to a full course of study, including 3 full-time PE coaches, Spanish, art, and band. Students with disabilities take the same curriculum as the general education students. Students at Rare Earth and Abe Lincoln take their core curriculum and elective classes online using a Skusd courseware. Okay.
I just want you to correct this before you submit this. They have 100 minutes of PE at the elementary.
Okay. Okay. Priority 7, access to a broad course of study continued. There are no barriers preventing SKUSD from providing access to a broad course of study. For students at Abraham Lincoln and Rare Earth, we have adopted a Skusd digital courseware. The Skusd offers a wide variety of elective courses that were not offered to Abe Lincoln and Rare Earth students previously. These elective courses include foreign languages, STEM classes including coding, CTE classes, and fine arts. New actions to ensure a broad course of study. AP courses at Roseman High, including AP US History and AP English. Elementary PE, we've added PE coaches to ensure that students are participating in physical education that aligns to the California content standards for physical education. Are there any questions or comments? This is the informational presentation of the local performance indicators. We will submit those to the California School Dashboard in the fall, in October.
Public hearing on district budget. Mr. Earp? Go ahead. Oh, the LCAP, sorry.
This is, Harvis just made a good point also for you to change in your presentation. They're not PE coaches, they're PE teachers at the elementary.
Okay, so you've received the LCAP in the board packet. The LCAP is 130 some odd pages, so I'm going to read every word to you. Okay, so this is the highlights, the highlights of the LCAP. Okay. What is the LCAP? The LCAP plan describes the district's goals, actions, services, and expenditures to support positive student outcomes. And then each district engages their educational partners, the parents, educators, staff, students, and the community to establish and update the LCAP plan. Here are the 8 Lcsf priorities that are addressed in the LCAP. We have conditions for learning. We have basic services, implementation of state standards, and course access. For engagement, we have parent engagement, pupil engagement, and school climate. And for pupil outcomes, we have pupil achievement and other pupil outcomes. Okay, the LCAP focuses on providing services to unduplicated students. Unduplicated students are students who are eligible for free or reduced price meals, English learners, and foster youth. Okay, here are our enrollment numbers and our unduplicated count, and this is per CalPADS 1.17 as of Census Day, which was October 6th, 2021. Primary enrollments at that time were 3,481. There were 518 English learners, or 14.9%. 2,658 students who were eligible for free and reduced meals, or 76.4%. 47 foster youth, or 1.4%. The total unduplicated count was 2,891, and the unduplicated percentage was 83.1%. Student subgroups. 59.4% of our students are Hispanic, 24.7% are white, 9% are African American, and 0.9% are Asian. Okay, these are the things that we did to engage our community, our educational partners, in terms of revising the LCAP and monitoring the LCAP. The LCAP is on the weekly agenda in the weekly cabinet meetings. The LCAP committee met twice a month for 3 months. We've given board presentations on the LCAP. We sent out the LCAP survey and received feedback. The LCAP is on the agendas for the school site councils. It's on the agenda for DLAC, for the district advisory council. There's a public opportunity to submit written comment. I just this afternoon sent out a copy of the LCAP with a link to a form to submit written comment. The LCAP is woven into the SIPSs. We consulted with the SELPA. We met with the local bargaining units. We're having a public hearing now. And then in 2 weeks, we'll have the public adoption meeting. And, okay, suggestions from the community that have been one of the main points of having all of these meetings with community members is to get feedback that will be integrated into the LCAP. So here are some highlights of feedback we've received that we have adopted into the LCAP. For Goal 1 Action 4, monitoring student progress, we added the sentence, the district will evaluate alternative assessment programs during the 22-23 school year, including NWEA, Illuminate, and iReady. For Goal 1 Action 7 and Goal 1 Action 13, we're adding a college and career counselor position. The new college and career counselor position will coordinate the CTE program and the dual enrollment program. For Goal 2 Action 2, mental health services, added new position, social emotional learning specialist. For Goal 2 Action 19, assistant principals, added verbiage new for the 22-23 school year is an AP of athletics. For Goal 3 Action 2, communication with school community, we added the verbiage, during the 22-23 school year, the district will evaluate communications platforms and will establish communications expectations for teachers. Okay, as I just said, we are part of this process is soliciting feedback. So if you have feedback, you can just say it or wait until the end. Okay, Goal 1. So there are 5 goals. Goal 1 is academic achievement, student academic achievement. Okay, we're going to start with looking at some metrics. For this school year, here are some metrics for Goal 1. Standards-aligned instructional materials for every student. 100% of students have access to standards-aligned materials. School facilities in good repair. All facilities are maintained in good repair. Percent of pupils who have successfully completed A to G requirements, and that's 12th grade, 20.8%. Percent of students who have completed a CTE pathway, 8.4%. Okay, Action 1, professional learning communities. Okay, so we have regular PLCs at all the school sites. We did not pay for professional development for the PLCs. There was a budget of $83,000, and estimated actual expenditure of what we actually spent was $27,000. For Action 3, supplemental digital curriculum. So when we adopt curriculum, it comes with 2 components: the written, the printed component and the digital component. The printed component is considered base funding, so we didn't include it in the LCAP. So we included, approximately half of the cost of our curriculum goes to the digital curriculum, and approximately half of the cost of the curriculum we put into the LCAP. So we have a budget of $1,504,000. We spent $569,000. Reading intervention program, that's Read 180 and System 44, a budget of 308,000, estimated actual expenditures of 100,000. We didn't contract with H&H to provide coaching this year, and that explains the difference between the budget and the actual expenditures. CTE program. We offered 9 pathways for the CTE program. The budget was 957,000. The actual expenditures were approximately 703,000, and we did not provide a stipend for the CTE coordinator position. After school programs. So after school programs, that's basically the ACES program for RES, West Park, and TMS. And that's a budget of 415,000 and estimated actual expenditures of 518,000. So we have a big after school program. Summer school. We held summer school last year. We're holding summer school this year. Budget 535,000. Estimated actual expenditures 519,000. Reading and Math Academies held at RES, West Park, TMS, and Roseman High School. Budget 162,000. Estimated actual expenditures 95,000. Tutoring. Offering tutoring after school at all school sites. Budget of 191,000. Estimated actual expenditures 29,000. And the tutoring program was smaller than we anticipated. Goal number 2, school climate. Create a safe and welcoming learning environment where students attend and are connected to their schools. Okay, metrics. From this year, attendance rate, 89.1%. But that's way down from our typical 94 to 95%, and that's largely due to COVID. Chronic absenteeism rate, 39.7%. That's way up from where we normally are, which is about 17%. Suspension rate, 6%, which is actually a little bit lower than what it was pre-COVID. Action 1, capturing kids' hearts. Budget 97,000, estimated actual expenditure 78,000. We have several capturing kids' hearts trainings planned for this summer. Action 2, mental health services. That's our psychologists. We have a $978,000 budget and a $668,000 in expenditures. We had 2 unfilled psychologist positions. The district is offering a $20,000 signing bonus to recruit additional psychologists for the 22-23 school year. And that also includes therapists. Child nutrition. We continue to offer free breakfast and lunch for all SKUSD students. Summer feeding took place. We are providing free dinner to students in the after-school program. Budget 756,000, expenditures 909,000. I don't know if I mentioned it. For picking the actions, I picked like the big ticket items for the actions. I left off like the small bit. Extracurricular activities. These are programs at the middle school and the high school, such as music, sports, robotics, mathletes, and clubs. Budget of 504,000, expenditures 204,000, and this program was smaller than anticipated due to COVID restrictions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you go back to that one?
Yes.
Is this thing what you're presenting right now?
Okay.
This thing.
Yes.
Okay. Well, like right here, if I'm reading this right, action 2.7 is extracurricular activities. Is that straight, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. The district is budgeted 143,054 50 cents. Okay. And then over here it says total funds 704 748 60.
Okay.
What does that mean? Is that your budget number?
What's that?
These are going to be.
Right here, it says total funds.
All but that first number matches up.
So what is this number? That's budgets and the expenditures. Right?
So there's this last year's number.
So this is what we're projecting to spend. This is what we spent last year.
Action 11, campus safety officers. The district continues to staff campus safety officers at all school sites. Budget $907,000, estimated actual expenditures $814,000. Transportation. We offer transportation to students to and from school. Additional bus routes and buses have been added. The area of bus service has increased. Transportation will be provided for after-school programs, including reading and math academies, tutoring and interscholastic sports. Additional transportation will be provided for field trips, band events, the athletic programs at TMS, and the ACES program. Transportation is being provided for rare earth students. Budget of $1,429,000, estimated actual expenditures $1,178,000. Action 14, California Cadet Corps. So we have 4 sections of Cadet Corps at Roseman High, and 5 sections of Cadet Corps at TMS. Budget $254,000, actual expenditures $212,000. Goal 3, family engagement. Action 7, supplemental student materials. We have a budget of $306,000 and we only spent $37,000. So we will increase the classroom supplies budget for next year. Action 10, family events. We intended to have this list of family events due to COVID-19. We didn't hold most of them. A budget of $46,000 and estimated expenses $17,000. Goal number 4, faculty. Students will be taught by highly qualified, well-trained, and diverse teaching staff who provide rigorous and relevant instruction that prepares students for success in college and career. Action 1, professional development. A budget of $332,000, estimated actual expenditures $63,000. Staffing shortages impacted the amount of professional development that we could provide. We held PD in English language development, multi-tiered system of support, AVID, and curriculum. Action 2, teacher induction program. The budget is $97,000, expenditures $31,000, and we're running this program through Kern County Superintendent of Schools. Mentor teachers. Mentor teachers for teachers with PIPs, STIPs, and interns. Budget of $53,000. Estimated actual expenditures $22,000. All interns, PIPs, and STIPs have a mentor. Goal 5, next generation science. The school sites will provide consistent next generation science standards, instruction, and learning practices resulting in student engagement and comprehension of the next generation science standards. Action 1, curriculum and materials. Budget $500,000. Estimated actual expenditures $544,000. NGSS aligned curriculum and materials have been implemented at RES in West Park. NGSS aligned curriculum is being adopted for TMS for next year. Are there any questions about the LCAP? Any comments, feedback?
I have a question about the next generation science. I don't know if that's you, but what is it? So what is this next generation science? What is this new science that we're learning about?
It's the science standards that incorporate more of a hands-on type of learning rather than just here's a book of text. There's a lot more like experiments and a lot more getting students to think, work together collaboratively in groups, really extend that science.
More hands-on, more.
Yeah, the way kiddos really learn.
It's equivalent to the Common Core standards in math and language arts in science, and it's a 3-dimensional program. There's engineering standards, there's where the students, really work hands-on, as he said, and so they work on these standards using dimensions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I'm doing the budget the budget overview for parents on the LCAP. So
There's the part, everything, goals, actions, everything like that with the LCAP, and then there's also a separate section of just trying to simplify, takes that 130-page document and turns it into a couple-page document that is a little bit more digestible than, trying to make people slog through a long document. Just quick definitions. We get funding from various sources, including the Lcsf, or the local control funding formula, other state funds, local funds, federal funds. Included with the Lcsf are a base level funding as well as supplemental concentration. So, pie chart seemed a little hard to read, so I put the totals on the side also to hopefully make it somewhat legible. That for the budget so far this year, projected for revenues are, or for this upcoming year, I should say, overall a total of $56,300,000, for the sake of a round number, of which $10,761,769 or $769 are our supplemental concentration funds. That these are the funds for our unduplicated. So of our total expenditures, about $18 million are within the LCAP, whether it's that S&C money or part of ACES or summer school, some of these things that are funded from other things other than the Lcsf base or concentration. This is just everything in the LCAP that has a dollar amount versus our overall entire budget of, everything from maintenance to, certificated salaries that aren't in the LCAP, just, the whole enchilada. Looking at last year, our S&C funds, we received about $9 million for the sake of a round number, and we spent 52% of that using that S&C, which is, there are some things that we just flat out couldn't do, the parent nights, the things that, spent really through the spring, really getting past the start of the year, then Delta surge and Omicron, all of that stuff really hampered our ability to do a lot of what we set out and planned in April of 2021 for the upcoming school year, kind of hoping and wishing that we, get through. But additionally, for other things, we also used our ESSER and learning loss mitigation funds and tried to utilize as much of the one-time federal funds and state funds as we could in lieu of the S&C dollars, just to make sure that we weren't, using S&C and then letting other funds expire that, if we weren't using it, we were going to lose it anyway. So that's part of the shortfall as well in terms of overall expenditure. And that is the end of the budget overview. Any questions? That was easy enough?
We set our business meeting for open public hearing at 8:53. Secretary Vice? Secretary, all in favor? Aye. Okay, this public hearing is for the budget, correct? And LCAP. Does anyone have any questions out in the audience? Okay, I will go back to our regular meeting. I make a motion that we go back to.
Hey, wait, you going to present the budget part?
Oh, go ahead.
All right. So I guess back to back. So that first part was solely, focused around LCAP, and this is 22-23 public hearing for next year's budget. So what we have right now is a working draft still because the state, and weirdly enough, their July 1st deadline means that they aren't done yet on June 8th, which is very rude of them to not have been done for my presentation. But there's still things that are being ironed out between what the legislature wants and what was in the governor's May revise, so that's why it's, all in motion. In all honesty, by the time we present, or I present again on the 22nd, we still won't have a state budget yet. It probably won't be signed realistically until after July 1st, which is good for them, but my deadline is June 30th, June 30th, so it is what it is. But, there's still uncertainty as the legislature has an idea and the governor has his own idea, and we'll get together and hash that out. But here's what I have so far I can tell you is our statutory COLA for next year is 6.56%. And then there's disagreement on additional COLA for Lcsf base grant of if there's going to be any, if there is, how much, is it going to be 3%, is it going to be 10%? I don't know, and if I, had those powers, I would play the lottery a lot more than I do, but, and then the disagreements over ADA funding of what to do about the year that we're going into. We've been on a hold harmless for the last couple of years, tied back to 1920 to, be able to look back at pre-COVID ADA and use that. Now there's, questions on if, the governor would like a 3-year rolling average. The legislature doesn't want to do that, but maybe, if your ADA is still better in 1920 than it is now, that, be able to use that, try and figure out how to avoid going off of what has been referred to as the ADA cliff, where most districts in the state have declining enrollment and declining ADA. We're slightly unique in that our enrollment is back up to pre-1920 numbers, but our ADA is still, we're still on the edge of that cliff because our ADA has not trended back up with that enrollment. As part of the May revise, the governor talked about a discretionary block grant of $8 billion. The legislature is their proposal is $8.5 billion. But by discretionary, they're only talking salaries, benefits, and employee contributions to PERS and STRS. So they're, again, another piece they're hashing out, which is, a large dollar amount for the state overall and, would be beneficial. Again, ADA funding, real hung up on that one. At this point, the legislature is rejecting these items from the governor's May revise. In his May revise, he had a plan for deferred maintenance of $1.7 billion, statewide community schools for $1.5 billion, as well as math and science professional development. So there's, again, to hammer the same point home again, a little bit of a divide for them to, figure out before the end of this month and start of next month when we, finally get a signed bill for budget and probably subsequent trailer bills that, this year created things like AB 130 for independent study and all of those fun things. The legislature's deadline to have their budget is June 15th, or they'll be subject to penalty, so we'll at least have a firmer idea next week of this is what their final plan is, and then between the 15th and 30th, hopefully sooner than later, things get hashed out between the legislature and the governor. One thing that the district is going to have to do is commit funds before June 30th. This year, with state funding the way it's been with capital gains going higher and higher, we've gotten to a point where we're going to hit the reserve cap. So if the district has a reserve of higher than 10% of funds that are not either moved out of general fund or Fund 17 to a different fund, they need to be committed to something else. Otherwise, we're gonna, suffer the penalty of having built up a reserve just in time to have it not matter, because 10% is the number that is in Ed code for our max allowable at this point. Cutting into next year, we're looking at increases to Skusd and PERS, and that, while the legislature's idea for the discretionary block grant funds would, tie into addressing rising costs of Skusd and PERS, nothing that the governor proposed in May had anything like the pension relief for previous years for Skusd or PERS. Statewide, between April 2021 and April of this year, consumer price index has increased by 7.9%, which we're all painfully aware of that. And, you can go look at the Chevron sign or go over to Albertsons and see how much the cost of everything has increased just, within the 2-block radius. On the heels of the CPI and the rate of inflation increasing, minimum wage is going to increase in 2023 and most likely in 2024. So we made it to $15 an hour this year. Next year it'll go to $15.50 and $16 the year beyond. And there are ballot measures to continue to push that even higher. So, things to come out. Good news for the district. The rate for health and welfare has gone down for our plans, which is, good for us. The cost of life insurance went up slightly, but, we're talking, a couple $1,000 versus $4 or whatever the life insurance is. So I'll count that one as a win. We're wrapping up the first year of our LCAT that, saw Dan's presentation and mine of, it's done in a 3-year cycle. So we'll be starting year 2 of it and trying to adjust accordingly for what we can continue to do on campuses, as well as utilizing the one-time COVID funds. The, ESSER 3 goes until the end of the 2024 school year. And there are other plans and, ELO, the ELO grant that we currently have, and then we're looking at the ELOP because the legislature has run out of acronyms. So they're just, throw letters at the end of the same ones. But, continuing how to, expand learning time and going back and trying to remediate the learning loss that's happened since the start of COVID. That is the end of my presentation.
Okay. Anyone have any questions? Make a motion to go back to our regular meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Universal School Transitional Kindergarten Provision Plan. Ms. Gaines and Ms. Lacy.
My cute little presentation. The state of California is funding 1%. This is basically the introduction. California UPK plan stands for Universal Pre-Kindergarten. It's a grant program that seeks to set children on a lifetime path to success. So focusing on those early years of education and getting them into school earlier so that we can provide them with all those skills that they need to be successful and hopefully push them to being able to read by the 3rd grade at a higher level of learning. So early and equitable learning experiences are basically, we want to create a path for lifelong success for our students by creating that early and equitable learning experiences. In our district, this means that we are going to have TK for all of our 4-year-olds by 25 to 26 and have a birthday by September, I think it's 2nd or 3rd, I can't remember, but there's a chart that's going to show us in a few minutes. And this is going to set that good foundation, like I said, for all of our students reading by the 3rd grade. And that is another thing that we'll be focusing on as well, which is a P3 continuum, which is pre-K through 3rd grade continuum, where I'll be coming back to talk to you guys about that later. We're going to be providing expanded learning opportunities. So part of this program would be we have to provide our students with 9 hours of schooling, provide them with that opportunity where students can, for TK, so it would be a full day TK program, and then they'd be able to opt into having the students participate in our after-school program, our ACES after-school program. They don't have to, but we have to be able to provide them that opportunity if they would like to participate in that.
Did you say that students can be in class for 9 hours?
That
Four-year-old?
is, they don't have to by any means, but the state, based on research, they are highly recommending a full day of pre-kindergarten TK classes, and then providing them that extra time outside of that. And that is just if they want to opt into that. They do not have to do that.
So the opt-in for the potential 9th hour is an after-school program.
Yeah, in the ACES after-school program. Mm-hmm. The funding also provides for the planning of the UPK, hiring and recruitment, staff training, professional development, classroom materials and supplies. So that's just a basic overview of the UPK plan and the grant program. So this this slide basically shows you the timeline for implementation of universal pre-kindergarten. So currently, this 2021 school year, for TK, our students had to turn 5 to be in TK between September 2nd and December 2nd. For the 22-23 school year coming up, they will be turning 5 between September 2nd and February 2nd. So we're extending that out 2 more months than what it was previously, so that students that turn 5 a little bit, 2 months later are able to attend more than they were this year. 23-24, it goes out again 2 months, so it would turn 5 between September 2nd and April 2nd. And you'll notice that one of the things that is a little bit different is next year, the student, sort of 22-23, the ratio of students to adults in the classroom has to be 12-1. In 23-24, when we go to that April 2nd deadline, that ratio in the classroom is going to change to 10-1. So if 10 students to 1 adult in those classrooms, for those TK classrooms. In 24-25, students that turn 5 between September 2nd and June 3rd, and also that 10-1 ratio. And then by 25-26, it will be full implementation of having those PK, TK students that state requirement. They want more adults in the classrooms to provide that instructional piece and make sure that we're able to provide students with, because early education takes a lot more group work and a lot more activities and things. So it's best to have more people in there.
Why does it, I'm sorry,
That's no problem.
What was I saying? So why does it stagger from the months? So after next year, why is it February and then April and then 4-year-olds in school?
That is basically allowing us to have a little bit of time to provide the staffing and all of the classrooms and all of the different spaces that we're going to need.
Yeah.
As you'll see in the next slide, we're going to look at the different number of classes. To 100 students, divide that by 20, you're gonna need 5 classrooms, 5 teachers, 5 paras, and 3 to 4 ACEs. And the number of ACEs staff members is because I'm just opting in. We're estimating that there would be less of the students attending that would be actually enrolled in the regular day. And then for 25, 26, it's 100 students that we're estimating by that point. 6 classrooms, 6 TK teachers, 6 paras, and 4 after-school program staff members. The vision of the district, so there's 5 different focus area groups, and I'll kind of go over each one separately, and then the whole picture will come in play. In your packet, you were given a copy of this information in much more greater detail. This is just a brief synopsis of what we put into the actual plan. So our vision is to gradually increase our TK classes until we have 4 PK, which would be the younger side of the 4-year-olds, and then the 4 TK classes by that 25-26 school year, so that 8 total that we saw in the last slide. 2 of those TK classes would be dual immersion classes with 50% of the instruction in English and 50% of that instruction in Spanish. We want to create those multilingual, bilingual students. And as we do that, we want to then expand that through the grade levels each year thereafter. So those 2 TK classrooms, dual immersion classes, would then move up into 1st grade the next following year. And then the next year we would have, it would go up into second grade. So it would go kindergarten, then 1st, then 2nd. So eventually it would go all the way up, and we're hoping to like 6th grade, maybe 8th.
Will it just follow that particular class?
Yes, that particular class will move up. Mm-hmm. And then this whole thing is that this will start that infrastructure or system to support that PK through 3rd grade continuum that the state is really pushing us to start doing. The next focus area is B, which is making sure that we have gotten community engagement and continue to get community engagement as we work our way through the next few years of, like 5 or 6 years of implementing this plan. The DAC and the ELAC, we've already gained parent input from both of those entities, which is the District Advisory Council and our English Language Advisory Committee. The UPK committee was established already. It incorporates some teachers, our ACES, several of the classified staff through our ACES staff members, district, Mrs. Gaines, myself, and we've already had several meetings and they helped put together this plan. So we had our TK teachers and some of our K teachers that were involved in this so far. Eventually that UPK committee is going to end up becoming our PK through 3rd grade continuum committee as we progress through and we start moving forward. The district will continue to get feedback from these committees as well as the LCAP committee, the school site councils at both elementary schools, and through parent surveys and questionnaires as we move through the progress of implementing the plan. So for our next area is focus area C, the workforce recruitment and professional learning. The teachers that work in our TK and PK classes have to be credentialed teachers that have 24 units of early childhood education or experience comparable to 24 units of that early education, or have a child development teacher permit in addition to their teaching credential. So they have to have extra things that go along with their credential in order to be able to teach our TK and PK. So there's a lot of things that we're gonna have to do in order to recruit and get some of those teachers that meet those special requirements. Our HR department is already advanced with recruitment practices this year. I did just fill out a survey with the county to see about connecting with California State University Bakersfield and their teaching program to help us. And doing that, I said, absolutely, yes, I would love to be a part, to communicate with them. So hopefully that will help us also be able to recruit some teachers that meet our requirements. And then we're going to have to provide the grant funding and all of those things, provide professional development that supports early education and aligns to the California TK foundations. So that means basically like children's social emotional development, support for multilingual learners as we're moving into that dual language immersion, and all kinds of different things for professional development. The next area is focus area D, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. The curriculum that we use must align with the California TK Learning Foundations and Framework. Our UPK committee will serve as our curriculum committee for this curriculum. They've already looked at and kind of want to pilot 4 different curriculums for this. I've been in contact with those different curriculum companies to set up some pilots starting this next school year so that we could get that process going. And hopefully have an adoption by the 23-24 school year, and then fully implement with dual language classrooms, that dual language curriculum by 25-26. The UPK committee determined that they would like to use the Teaching Strategies Gold as their PK-TK assessment tool. The last area is facilities, services, and operations. Now there are quite a few requirements that we have to meet for our TK classrooms. One of those is having a minimum of 1,350 square feet. Our classrooms currently don't do that. And that 1,350 square feet can include the restroom, storage, and teacher prep area. So that is included in that. And then I did notice when I was reading through some of the documentation that 1,000, if we're reconfiguring or retrofitting existing buildings, we can actually take that down to 1,250 square feet, which is kind of what we're going to end up doing.
How big is this classroom?
I have not done that.
Typical classrooms are 960 square feet.
Yeah, I think the ones at Roseman Elementary School were like 1,000 something. Yeah, and so they also they need to be close, if at a possible, to an entrance gate. Make it easier because a lot of the PK and the TK parents are going to walk up to the school. They're not the type, just like our kindergarten parents.
Yeah, I'm like right.
Yeah. And they have to have a play area that's, they ask that they have a play area dedicated to the UPK students, or if they have to use the same play area, that they're at a different time period than the students that are using it. And we need to have age-appropriate playground equipment for them. So we did, as a district, submit an application to OPSE for UPK Facilities Grant Program to do some modernization and modifications for the RES East campus. So we submitted that on April 25th. We are still waiting to hear back on that. Once we get that, we can put some plans into place for remodeling and restructuring all of those East Roseman Elementary, the old, basically, Roseman Elementary School. And we want to modernize that and make that the district's early education program. And it would house all of our TK, PK, our pre-K SEC students, all of our early education students would then be moved into that one area and have their own playground, their own office, and their own cafeteria. So we've modernized also the old Roseman Elementary School cafeteria. And that way they would have, that school would have its own, or program would have its own entry and exit gate.
Now, Would they be part of RES?
Yes, it'd be overseen, and the thought would be that we'd have an assistant principal that would be over there, and they'd have their own secretary and an assistant principal that would work under the Roseman Elementary School principal.
So would we hire another assistant principal at RES?
Eventually,
To
yes.
like the high school?
Yeah, in a few years, but this is a few years down the road.
Right,
because we
right,
still-
I'm
yeah.
just wondering.
And more than likely, this wouldn't be happening until 25, 26, because it's gonna take some time to get, those buildings remodeled and refurbished. So that's our basic plan. Any questions? And that's all, there's a lot more information and detail in the actual, document.
I do have a question. So let's say it's 25, 26. There will no longer be TK at West Park. It'll just be over here at the new campus that we've created.
Yep.
I just want to add something, Ms. Lacy. We applied for the funding, and I believe, Robert, if you remember the actual number, the actual amount of applicants in dollars that the state received was in the billions, and the actual budget for modernization is in the, was it a couple hundred million, something like that?
250, 100 million, I think, is what the funding was.
And the application, the number of applicants, reached a certain I think $1.5 billion. So we're still, optimistic that we will receive the funding for this, but we do not know that for sure.
Are we able to use any of like that one-time money that's expiring for anything like that? No. Okay.
All right, so we may have to just use the state may have to come down on the square footage. All right. So, any other questions?
Okay, curriculum instruction. Adopt science curriculum for TCM for Tropical Middle School.
Oh, it's backwards on the slides. Sorry, I'm gonna just forward and then come back. Because you said that one. All right, so Tropical Middle School actually did some piloting last school year, and then we piloted 3 different curriculums this school year. Towards the end of the year, we met as a department with the science department curriculum team and myself, and we went through some documents that have like scoring sheets of what they thought was to score the different curriculum. And I can tell you, after looking at all of the different scoring sheets and talking to them, they had a unanimous vote that this curriculum was 100% what they wanted to have. And these are some of the reasons why they liked it. It's TCI, Bring Science Alive. It's integrated science for grades 6 through 8. The reason that they really liked it is that it aligns with the NGSS standards, the standards that we were talking about earlier, and correlates well with the CASP science assessment. It has a good balance between direct instruction and that student discovery activities piece. And in those student discovery kits, it was pretty much all inclusive. They didn't really have to purchase anything or ask us to purchase anything outside of what's already purchased inside of those. And it was very hands-on and student-friendly, so they really did like that. The student materials were easy for the students to use, had lots of quick checks. They were every few pages. The text was easy to annotate, so the online text, we're going to be focusing on critical reading strategies this year. One of the main focuses that Doug Fisher's coming out on August 8th to talk about. And part of that is annotation of text. So this text, they can actually highlight, underline, do all kinds of things on the online text. So they really like that. And they had some fun review games that were very engaging for students. Also, one thing that they thought was fabulous was that the text has an easy one-click to switch from English to Spanish text for the students that maybe are coming in from another country and speak Spanish only. They just click and they would be able to understand the content of the science in their own language. Oops, went too far. Teacher materials were easy for them to use. Their lesson plans, their lesson plan presentation slides, the student work and assessments were all editable. So the teachers could get in there and change it to match what their actual instruction looks like. And they also really liked all of the resources, and they had great video links that went really well with the lessons. So their recommendation is to bring to you is to adopt this curriculum for them. The pricing I'll get to you next time, but they would like to adopt this as their curriculum.
They use it as science teachers at Tropical, they love it.
Love it.
Do you have a motion?
I'll second. Motion by Ms. Hepburn, seconded by Ms. Gillette. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. The Roseman High School history curriculum adoption, they also piloted several pilots this year. When we met to talk about it, the whole department came together. We thought there was going to be a little bit of contention, but once we sat down and they really started talking about it, it really came down to one curriculum that they really liked. And that was the McGraw-Hill Impact World History, Impact U.S. History, U.S. Government and Econ books from McGraw-Hill. And what they really liked about it is that out of the curriculums that they piloted, it aligned more with the FAIR Act, which is that the text has an abundance resources that are fair, accurate, inclusive, and respectful representation of our diverse ethnic and cultural populations. So making sure that they met all of those different things. The curriculum is focused highly on the California state standards for history and social studies, and has a very high level of rigor, which they liked. And it built upon prior skills and knowledge that they should have known from previous years. And the materials went well for AP and honors courses. They could add to the materials just to make it that. The curriculum links to student discussion, inquiry, and projects, which was something they highlighted. The resources throughout the curriculum support students with different remediation and intervention needs, such as the ability to set the text to the reading level of the student, so that it's easier for them to read it, and it still
like changes the terms to something simpler so they can understand it.
Mm-hmm. If need be. And it could be on an individual student basis as well, somehow, I don't know. A variety of assessment types that align with the actual instruction that they would be provided through the lessons. So these are the reasons and again, it was a unanimous decision once they started talking about it and really heard from each other what the positives and negatives were. And they did also had rating sheets for each of them. And looking at the different rating sheets, this one we did talk to Jamie Bender. Oh, Jamie Bender. This one definitely outranked the rest of them.
See that word right there? Rigor?
Rigor.
I think our high school's been missing a lot of that. Not in the last, 2 years. But before that, it was missing for quite a while. There wasn't any. So, I love to see that. So I make a motion.
Second that.
Seconded by Hepburn. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, award the low bid contract to Caldwell Chartwell, sorry. Food service consulting and purchasing company. Mr. Irving.
Alrighty, so last month, you guys approved a RFP to go out for bidding for our food service consulting and purchasing. We had 2 bidders, Sodexo and Chartwell's. Based on the outcome of their submission, we're recommending that you go with, the district go with Chartwell's. Attached in the board packet is a copy of the sample contract from their bid. And for further information or questions, Joey Bill is here. So, yeah.
We've sat through an hour and a half. Trying to remember.
CSBA.
I'm trying to place it.
Not so many.
I know, there's so many people there. Is the food equivalent, better? Give me a little.
With all due respect to my friend here from Sodexo,
We've known each other a long time.
yes. Well, of course, I think food's better, but I think what we do exceptionally well is we do a lot of engagement. So we're listening to the kids about what they want.
What's your,
Actually, for each grade level, there's a different amount of choices. In the secondary, we have different culinary, we have more of a Latin flair, we have a deli choices, we have pasta, we have, in the packet, we actually have a sample menu of what the first 21 days will look like. I'm not sure it's going to be in that contract.
It's not.
It's not.
No, I didn't.
Well
enough to have that.
But different concepts, there's 7 different concepts. And then we do a road show where we bring in something from around the United States and let the kids try it, and if they decide they like it, we'll actually put that in the menu as well.
so in the preparation of this, you got recipes, is it gonna be a lot harder on the kitchen to prep it and prepare it? Is it standard recipes, or is it, you gotta come in with a whole new recipe book that they all have to learn and go by?
Well, our recipes are proprietary. There will be a learning curve. We like to lean towards cooking on site, scratch cooking or scratch cooking. So there's going to be a learning curve. We do have a regional team that will come in and work with the team to manage those skills. So we'll first have to evaluate where they are at, and there will definitely be a learning curve.
We'll have somebody on site like we have before.
Yeah, we have a DM that lives in Los Angeles County, but you will have a director here on site. And then we have a regional chef that's on the edge of LA County as well, and a dietitian that's close by as well.
And gonna get a lot of frozen foods or fresh made, your pastas, and is it coming pre-made frozen, or are we gonna mix it here and prep the sauce for it? And
Yes, we lean more towards on-site scratch cooking or batch cooking.
and is our kitchen prepared for that? Have you noticed?
We're not able to see the facilities because of the timing.
Yeah, doing the RFP so late, we didn't do a walkthrough of the kitchen or the cafeteria as part of the mandatory bid process. So they submitted photos, they requested photos, so we sent photos of facilities so they could at least have a rough idea.
You did get some pictures of our equipment.
Yes, sir.
And we do have to prep this on-site cooking.
We believe so, yes.
You're from guy.
Just when you change things like recipes, there's a big learning curve. There's a huge learning curve. And how the food's actually going to be coming in compared to what they're used to now. That's why I asked refresh, or how the sauces are going to pre-make the sauces. Are they coming in cans, bags? How's that stuff coming to us?
Well, there'll be a variety. I understand that we use a different distributor. I think you're using Gold Star now, and generally use Skusd.
You use Cisco?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm familiar with Cisco. Does a lot of your brands come from Cisco?
Yes.
Everything we order is going to come from Cisco?
It'll come off as a Cisco truck.
And how's your availability on your foods? Your menu's not going to change, flex?
Abraham Lincoln ocean and rare earth. I saw some empty beds. I got seats, man.
So do we, you just need the manpower.
That's right.
If you allow me on there, I will come and guard you.
You need to talk to my boss.
I will guard you.
That's one thing I think we need to really consider, is the preparation. Could be a tremendous time preparing. Depending on how scratch she's talking about, you've got a lot of man hours and prep and stuff like that. You know, I like to see a plate that's being served and how it was served and how it was prepped. That's very important.
Well, I'll tell you right now, let me ask a question. How long have we used Sodexo?
10 years. 10 years, yeah, 10, 12 years.
I've been here since kindergarten. I've never liked a mill in this school in my life. So I'm just gonna throw that out there. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna put that out there. But Robert, what's the dollar amount with Sodexo? What's their contract? Like, this one says the maximum dollar amount of this contract is equal to the fixed price per mill multiplied by the number of mills served.
Let's say per mill, what's
Which
it
is like
cost?
1.2 million. So what's Sodexo's?
Sodexo was, for the sake of our numbers, about $7,000 more a year. So really per mill, it's a fraction of a penny apart. It was not having the bids right in front of me, I think 1.41 and 1.422 or something like that, or I might be transposing a number there, but they were on the price front. It was big. It was, you know, talking $1 million. It was a fraction of a percent.
Right.
And I just want to say, and I'm pretty sure I've heard the child nutrition department talk about this. If we're comparing Roseman Elementary School, Mr. Bender, the capability in that cafeteria to, let's say, the capability in West Park's cafeteria, they're talking about making food from scratch. We've seen it happen at Roseman Elementary School multiple times. I don't believe, and Robert, correct me if I'm wrong, but the cafeteria at West Park has all of that capability. I would probably say the same thing applies to the current cafeteria at the high school. Probably Tropico has a greater capability, Tropico and RES versus West Park and the high school. Because we know we're getting into high school.
Is our best school for something like that. With the equipment they used to have, I know we got rid of mixers, and that used to be used. I don't know. We need mixers. I mean, we just got rid of $100,000 worth of mixers. So you're going to bring in flour that we're going to have to mix and prep, and that's this kind of stuff that we need to really look at, because we could spend a tremendous of time on more equipment and more training and more of time. Time is the very most important thing in the cafeteria at our schools. Is these ladies prepping for that meal? It's very important.
Well, I think that, and I throw that in about West Park only because I've heard them mention that several times. I think, to be brutally honest, one of the issues that we've had with Sodexo has done, many special events for us and done a phenomenal job, no doubt. One of the issues that we've had since I have been here is the employee that Sodexo provides to the district.
Exactly.
That has been our problem. I mean, it goes from 1 to 1 to 1, and it's almost to the point where
Yes, I agree there. I was going to mention that.
I don't know if that
I was
could
going to
be
mention that a
an
little bit
issue you
too.
have or not. That is a problem that I have had to deal with, and Robert as well.
Yeah, I was going to mention that too. We've gone through several of them and haven't been real happy with them. And I don't know what happens. I don't know what happens there, but
I mean, as far as like Sodexo preparing meals for like the last event we had and all those kinds of events, everything's great. But I mean, the menus for kids is just, it feels like it's the same thing every week, just a different day. Like, the kid's gonna eat a chicken sandwich for lunch on a Monday with a few other options, but then next week on Monday, they're having served us something different, but they're having the same thing on Wednesday that they had last Monday. It just, I mean, I was in high school for 4 years, and it was the same thing every single week.
So I was here 5 years ago. I was actually just starting my job. And we chose not to bid because I did not, excuse my voice, I'm sorry, I got cold. We chose not to bid because I really didn't understand the district. But I made a point at that time that I was going to really pay attention to what's important to this district, what the vision was. We're not usually the low bidder. In fact, we rarely are. We just so happen to be this time, but not by much. But we put together a specific program for you guys because I know you are very fiscally responsible. You need fiscal stability. So we put in a program that you're going to have a very healthy return that you can reinvest back into the program, however you want. If it's getting more kids to eat, if it's getting more people, if it's more training time, however you want us to do that. We put in a program because accountability is important to you. That we're going to have to report how we're doing, so you understand what we're doing to increase participation and in regards to engagement and get kids involved. We even put in, Trustee Pincelletti, I know you're all about athletics, so we even put in a piece about athletics, nutrition. Really paying attention. Superintendent Gaines talks a lot about menu variety and quality, so we made sure we had variety in your menus that could evolve as the kids saw fit. And we have a support group that understand there is going to be a learning curve for those people. I've seen the turnover that he's had, and I know that there's a reason for that. We're prepared for that.
On your recipes, do you allow for certain changes, or are you real strict on them? I know before Skusd was pretty strict. You did it this way, no, this way, and sometimes add a little garlic to some green beans, tastes pretty good.
No.
And some of the girls want to do that, and they weren't allowed to do that kind of stuff. So we want to be able to have the flexibility of doing that kind of stuff. We want very good food, but we've got to be able to make it quickly and easily.
Yeah, you've been very clear about what you want over the last 5 years, I promise you. We actually have access to 10,000 USDA approved menus through a program called Webtrition that your director will have access to. So if they need to flex, they can flex.
But you gotta be careful. It's highly regulated by the USDA. So if you start adding stuff to it, you then change your, your proteins and your breads, and it's very highly regulated. And that's some of the problems just with this program in general all across the United States is it's so highly regulated, it's hard to just add a little here and a little there.
Yeah, I understand garlic. I understand.
You would be surprised when you get audited. You'd be surprised.
I understand what everybody's talking about, because my father was an old Marine Corps cook. And I have an argument with my brothers all the time because he has this barbecue recipe. I use it, and my brother tells me, my youngest brother says, I've never seen the red in this one. Well, that's because I've never seen him not change his recipe. But I can tell you this, when the American Legion used to have these big, huge grills out, I knew exactly which one was his. So he changes it, but he doesn't change it. But you're right. We have, unfortunately, Uncle Sam has a lot of say in what we do and what we don't do. So
they're funding it, so then you feel like they have to highly regulate it.
Yeah. What other schools are you in?
We have 12 school districts. 12, what's the closest? Maybe La Piñata.
How many students roughly there?
A few thousand.
3,000 students.
What's the learning curve, the training curve? So when, let's say we're like, hey, let's go, let's move forward. how long will it take to have the staff trained and make sure that our kitchen's prepared and samples, maybe taste some food?
Yeah.
I like food.
It'll be a process. It's not gonna happen all at once. In fact, we're gonna meet tomorrow, hopefully. We're gonna meet tomorrow and discuss what that's gonna look like.
Do you think that, placement of one of your employees in Southern Current is going to be, problematic? I mean, they're here every day, they will be working here every day, so does that seem like an issue?
No, because we don't necessarily get somebody that's, my district manager is very well connected. He, was actually with a competitor for many years and he has lots of contacts and he's already working on it right now. Getting the right fit that will be vetted by you guys to make sure it's good culture fit and works well with you guys.
So it'd be somebody that lives local.
That's the plan.
Somebody.
This is a contract for a year.
This 1 year, Robert?
The initial contract, yeah, and then, there's options to either extend or, things go real sideways real quick, do another RFP, but yeah, this contract is from July 1 to June 30th, 2023.
Is there any, if there is any special equipment, are you guys prepared to help out on the cost or anything?
No, the RFP did not call out for investment, so there would be an issue with that. We believe you're gonna have a large enough return that the district should be able to reinvest back into the program, but I think that would get you in trouble if you purchased equipment.
Was that?
Yeah.
Robert, how much was the difference? I mean, you're talking a large return, I didn't hear a large return between the two difference. How much?
It's like 200,000.
200,000 saving a year though, not that much.
No, 7,000 a year, but.
7,000.
What's your?
700,000.
Savings?
Oh, well, savings, I'm
No,
sorry.
savings.
Saving 7,000, but what she refers to return fund is the number of meals that we get reimbursed for using,
Yeah.
Since we get the reimbursement based off of meals served, I believe is what you're.
I'm just thinking of the difference between them two, is $7,000. So if we had to go buy one mixer, we're in the hole,
Oh, that's a.
right?
Didn't you just say the bid amounts were one was 1.2 and one was 1.4?
No.
He said the difference is $7,000.
$7,000.
I know that when my daughter goes to school, she doesn't eat lunch because she's not happy with lunch. I'm like, what did you eat today? She's like, I'm like, what did you eat? Donuts or nothing or water, and it really concerns me. So I'm open to trying something new, trying something different, giving them some flair. You said you weren't happy with the food while you were here. I don't see why we shouldn't try something new. I understand that, hey, if we have to buy equipment, it is the investment, but if the kids are happy and they're eating and I like food. Food makes me happy. If I'm not happy, that's a problem.
Why don't you, what that school district you're talking about is supposed to. Yeah, that has 3,000 students. What do their kitchens look like? What kind of supplies do they have to run their kitchen with you guys?
All the kitchens are gonna be a lot the same. It's just how far down are we tearing apart the mill to build it back up? If we're going down to the flour, we're in trouble. That's what I'm saying. If we're gonna start with flour, we're in trouble. And that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on an example of a meal, at what level and what are we going to have to do to create that meal for the kids on a daily basis? Could you go into a little bit more detail?
To prepare.
What, like Mr. Bender's asking, I mean, are we going to be, we're not obviously going to be making bread, are we?
No. we're initially gonna have to adapt to your kitchen. And we're gonna have to assess the skills of the staff. And then we are going to progress into more complicated menus and more scratch cooking. But initially, we have a 21-day menu that we proposed. I have a copy proposal here if you want to look at it, so you can see what type of meals will be the first 21 days.
First 21 days are gonna be something, I can guarantee, gonna be something easy to throw together and any kitchen can grab. It's what's after that I'm concerned about.
They're gonna be more complicated because
More
we're gonna
complicated.
train the staff and work with the staff to get different, better.
Okay,
So
so
like
this,
he says, you said sometimes you'd have pasta. Are they going to have to make that pasta from scratch, make those noodles from scratch?
No, no.
I'm not
But
fettuccine.
Jim is asking, he's saying that we're getting down to mixing flour. We're wasting money.
No, possible.
Then we're talking totally scratch, we're out.
Are you gonna make a different meal also for after school program? Because we also have at 3 of our sites, we have after school program. We have
Yes.
snack and a
We did include that as well.
so let's just, like she brought up, throw your pizza in there. Are we gonna get a pre-made frozen pizza? That we're just gonna throw in the oven?
It'll be, it's a pre-made crust, we'll do the cheese and the toppings and all that.
And we'll make the sauce, or is it come in a can or bag, or?
You know, I can't answer that, honestly. My district manager's in here, but, this is the sample.
How about the can sauce,
Yeah, it's canned.
choices? Yeah, I'm sure they're not.
Yeah.
But it's like a crust.
It's all, yeah, there is, you put together.
Totally different, types of pizza for different categories. So like high school, that again, it depends on the staff. We do what you call like a rise. It's already a pre-made dough, but you can rise it so it is more fresh. And then, you're putting on canned sauce and cheese. It's better than just, something frozen coming right out.
Yeah, I'm not a big frozen pizza.
No, I'm not either.
Brightness.
Huh?
It's a brightness.
Okay, that's.
But I
Anyway.
But that's like your main thing. How would you make a pizza? Like, is it throw it in the microwave and push the start button, or are you making it from scratch? Like, that's your easiest.
Well, what we used to like to do is you buy Boboli bread. And the can sauce. Some of us haven't been ready.
I know.
I haven't even done it. But that pizza is so much better than if it comes frozen and you pick it out of the wrapper, throw it in the oven.
I don't like that.
Oh, my goodness.
It's still not gonna be New York pizza,
So,
Well,
from what
you're on the wrong coast.
hang on. So from what I'm understanding, you're gonna come out, assess our kitchens, and then determine like what menus that we could actually produce.
We're gonna produce those menus for the first 21 days, and then we're gonna go from there.
So past the 21 days, once you're making your assessment, then you will be dependent on what the kitchen's capabilities are and the staff, right?
So he's looking at the elementary school where they have
So here
limited
you have,
choices.
we made cinnamon rolls at the high school and at the schools. And they made from scratch. How's yours?
I can't answer that. This is why my district manager couldn't give me here, because another school district tonight.
I would imagine they're gonna come wrapped and put in the oven and just bring them. They would have to, but we used to make them from scratch. And if we have to make them from scratch, we're in trouble because we got rid of all that equipment to do that. We used to, and they did an excellent job at it.
In today's world, there's not one restaurant that can do from scratch unless it's pizza.
They sold off the mixers last year.
Well, those were all broken. Those were, I got rid of the broken ones. I don't think they got rid of all of them.
They took all out of the cafeterias and sold them.
Can I know you're worried about equipment costs and stuff, but we've also, the state last year gave districts statewide money for continuing infrastructure improvement. So we have money specifically for new kitchen equipment and training for staff.
And that's, I'm not too worried about the equipment, that's fine. I'm worried about how much time it's gonna take.
That part,
That's more,
but, you know.
anymore, labor is just tremendous, that's what kills businesses, is labor, so. But yeah, if the equipment, I mean, if we gotta do it mixer, but you're talking an hour for that lady to make that stuff. So,
I've been in a lot of kitchens that we do a great job that don't have mixers. That helps you.
okay, if you sell your product and you want, then you must be doing something different than scratch mix or scratch cooking. Because that's, you're coming in with something that's pre-made that you're gonna warm up and serve. And I'm all, I mean, I'm not a big statistical fan. Just because of what Barbara did say that we've gone through reps that just we've had troubles with. I'm all for whatever the board like to do. If we want to try somebody and for a year, make a motion, we go ahead.
I'll second.
Motion. Vince Lynn, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Get a year to make this,
Make it work.
make it work.
We need to go and see how much it is.
You too. Okay, personnel items. Terminating the existing 2019 through 2013 employment contract, 23, sorry, employment contract, and reappointing of the superintendent. Okay. I've got some reading I gotta do first. The next item is consideration of termination of the existing contract for 2019 to 2023 employment contract for the superintendent and approve a new contract of 2022 to 2025 contract effective January or July 1st, 2022. Recruiting and retaining highly qualified and skilled personnel is an important goal for the district for the benefit of our students, including the high level or the highest level of administration staff. In determining whether modifications are appropriate for the superintendent's salary schedule, we have reviewed superintendent salary data, both statewide and local, and from local districts, with the Southern Current wide for personnel, competing for personnel. In particular, Southern Current, while located in Kern County, competes for personnel primarily with area because of our district borders and its region. My understanding is that there is a significant disparity in salary, particularly in the administration level. Statewide, the average salary for a superintendent for a district of the size of 2,500 students to 4,000 average daily attendance is approximately $209,151 annually for the base salary, which is well above the highest step on the proposed superintendent's salary schedule. With that, we have put together a salary schedule of 6 steps where we will start Ms. Gaines at step 4 which will put her at 177,117. And each year with a satisfactory evaluation, she will move up on her steps for the next 3 years, which will top out at 195,271. The contract includes and is based on a 225-day work week, together with the same health work year. Sorry. Work day.
I don't know how you do that, Mark.
All right. With the same health and welfare benefits as are provided to the management employees, and the payment of membership dues in a professional and educational organization. So now that I've read all the articles that they told me how to read, aye.
Make a motion to approve?
I'll second it. Motion by Hepburn, seconded by Vincelette. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right. Thank you for your hard work. So we get to keep her for 3 years. Okay. Approve the following list of personnel items. Anyone have any questions on all the personnel items that are listed?
What's a CPI trainer? What is that?
Cheryl Taylor and Shannon Villarosa, they do the training for the crisis prevention, crisis, I forget what it stands for. But all of our CSOs, paraeducators, teachers that work with special education students, mainly are trained in crisis intervening if students are having some issues, whether they might have to be in a hold or de-escalating.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff. And they're gonna hold one of those. They have held several this second semester, but next year their plan is to hold one per month. They held 5 this year. So,
Can we attend those?
can you attend those? I'm gonna check. I probably could. Is it a while? No, that you want to do an all-day training, but, and there's part of it that is more, where they, have to, actually learn, and there's content-based, not just the practical part, but there's a theory component of it. I think the thing that I want to share here, attorneys, if you'll allow me, is that if we had to hire outside CPI trainers, I can promise you we're going to be spending a whole lot more than $1,500 as a stipend. Those two ladies just do an outstanding job training and making sure that our people certifications are up to date. There's a lot of work. A lot of people I think goes along with all that training. Make a motion to approve.
By Hepburn, seconded by Vincelette. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion. Whose motion? Would you like to motion?
Adjournment. Because I am hungry.
Wait, I have a question.
Oh, wait, before that.
Settle down.
Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right now.